Hello, everybody. Jessica Pravat, publisher here at the Baker County Press, and we are doing one in our ongoing series of sitting down with this week the superintendent.
Thank you.
So, thanks for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Jessica.
And school starts back in a matter of days.
Hey, we are counting down the hours now. Teachers are getting ready, principals are getting
Right.
ready. We're ready to roll.
Well, and that's the thing. I know open houses are today,
That's
so
right.
we're going to keep this short and sweet because you're bouncing
Yeah.
in between. But you have a lot of different information, new information, important information that I felt like was very important to let all of our watchers, our readers know this, especially if they have students in the system.
Right.
So we are going to start off with one of the hot topics, which are cell phones.
Okay.
I know the state passed a law. It's no longer in your hands specifically. The state has passed a law. So just tell us about that law and how that's going to affect the students with their devices, I should say.
Okay, absolutely. So yeah, parents and community, there has been a change at the state level regarding wireless communication devices in public schools. Governor DeSantis had heard the pleas of public education teachers and administrators over time. As time has gone on, cell phones have become so commonplace in our schools. We are seeing kids in the elementary grades carrying cell phones. And I will be honest with folks. I know a lot of people say, well, safety is the number one reason why my child has a cell phone. But I will tell you, to the good cell phone brings, there's a ton of bad that happens throughout the school day when children have cell phones. And so the governor actually passed a bill into law that actually prohibits cell phones or any wireless communication device, so smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, from kindergarten to eighth grade. It is now illegal for children between kindergarten and eighth grade to have a cellular device on school campus during the instructional day. And so at the high school level, it ranges during the instructional time. And so they're not prohibited throughout the entire school day, not through 12th grade. They're just prohibited during the instructional time. And the law really gives the teacher a lot of wiggle room. If the teacher wants the child to use the cell phone for an instructional activity, the law gives the teacher that jurisdiction to do so. But if that cell phone is being used for anything other than that, it actually is prohibited as well. And so that's kind of a shift statewide in how we're treating cell phones. So we're all consistent across the board. And the goal of that is not to prohibit a child from being able to communicate. The goal is to protect the integrity of the school day. And so we're looking forward to good changes out of that. Say parents, again, if you need your child during the school day, call that front office. Those folks will get a message in a timely manner to your child. In the event of an emergency, safety protocols are so in place that your child is going to be safe in our schools. And so just encourage your child to be mindful of cell phone use. There will be disciplinary action because, again, it's like a vape or a cigarette now. It's against the law. And so we will be following the letter of the law on that.
All right. And personally, like we said earlier, I know I can call the school if I need to get a hold of them. Otherwise, I can shoot them a text and when school's over, because I have a high schooler, I have the senior, so I mean he can have it. But yeah, I think it's a great policy. Absolutely.
Me too.
And then just in terms of what kind of input or feedback have you gotten from parents and students? I would imagine during open houses and even like teachers. How do teachers? I mean, I'm assuming they have a very positive look on this.
And I will tell you the feedback we've received has mostly been from school district employees, but they're excited about it. It gives them, again, they're promoting that structure at the school site because, like I mentioned earlier, cell phones, there just is a lot that can happen, especially when you're talking about students who are not reaching their full maturity yet. You'll see kids are kids. They make mistakes and they've just caused things. And so the administrators, the teachers are spending a ton of time putting out fires that cell phones cause. And so we've had a lot of positive feedback from stakeholders and the community as well. The real test will be once we get into school and a child's on their cell phone, and will mama be mad that the cell phone got confiscated?
Right.
And so that'll be the real test. But you know what? We're following the law and we're doing what's right by that child, which is preserving the instructional integrity of the day.
Absolutely. All right. And so then kind of moving on, I saw there's new volunteer
Yes.
requirements. And I guess kind of break it down where it differs from in the past. I know before at open house or when school started, you got this multi-page volunteer form.
Sounds,
Yep. So
yeah.
you filled it all out and you sent it in by like October 1st or something, October
Yep.
31st. And then that gave you the ability to come on campus to attend events, parties, chaperone trips.
That's right.
The new policy, how is that changing things?
So the new policy cleans up the volunteer process from a safety perspective. And so in years past, everybody got a volunteer form, everybody filled it out, and we rocked and rolled. But this coming up year, anybody who wants to come to the school to eat lunch with their child for a special event, or come to a parent conference, or just a classroom visit, those folks just need to simply check in at the front desk like they would anyway. You'll run your driver's license, you'll get the badge, and you'll be permitted on the campus. If you want to take that a step further, if you want to help volunteer in your child's classroom, then you would fill out the volunteer form as we have in years past. It's really when you take it a step further and when an adult is going to be in charge of supervising children, that's where the change occurs. That parent or community volunteer will now have to actually pay for a background screening.
Okay.
And I know that may hinder some folks from volunteering, but at the end of the day, it's about the safety of that child. And we only want people supervising our students, which are our most valuable resource, that are cleared through a background screening. We do not want anybody of a questionable character having access to supervising children alone. And so it's really a new protocol we put into place that protects that child as much as we possibly can. So that's where the change comes in at.
Okay. And is that a district level policy change or was that a state mandated?
The way the state threw it out there
Okay.
as potential legislation, the district we went ahead and made the decision that, again, you're talking about child safety, and we want our kids around adults who are going to keep them safe and protect them. And so that was actually a change at our district level this year.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then in terms of like getting the background checks, that's all something you guys
We
are taking care of.
facilitate.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. I will be down there
Yeah.
in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And so the next topic, hot topic, discipline. I know, there's always a large number of complaints regarding the discipline policy. How, this one claims it was this way, this one. It's varied and
Yes.
not had a lot of consistency
That's right.
according to what you hear in the community.
Right.
So, what have you enacted this year regarding the discipline policies at the different schools?
So teachers work incredibly hard every day. Support staff work incredibly hard every day. We're the public education center, so nobody's getting rich off of their jobs, but their jobs are so important in building the next generation. Because of that hard work, they deserve to work in an environment where there is structure and effective discipline. And so I came in September 1st and really spent some time evaluating where we were. And so it was actually through teachers and administrators, we developed a more cohesive matrix at the secondary and elementary level that all schools will follow. So your elementary schools will follow progressive discipline at the elementary level, and then high school, middle school will do the same thing. And basically, it is to make sure that students who are not behaving appropriately, that they feel some consequence. And I know that makes my job more difficult because I'll hear from parents. But I hope that parents will understand that, number one, we're trying to build citizens of tomorrow. That's our overall goal, is we're trying to educate and make sure that 20 years down the road, this county and our surrounding community, we're partnering with the parent to turn out productive citizens. And if we don't take that job seriously, if we don't value that role that we have in shaping a child, then we've not done our job. And so we have worked incredibly hard. At the high school, Mr. Andy Giddens is the principal. He is he and I have a lot of the same philosophy on discipline at the high school level, and especially in the middle school level too. Kids know how to act. They know right and wrong by that age level. And so our discipline policy will now reflect that. And it's a progressive matrix. And so it doesn't get progressive based on the offense. It gets progressive based on the number of offenses. And so, for example, if Jessica gets in trouble for, let's say, she was cheating off Billy's paper, okay, that may be her first offense. If 2 weeks later Jessica is disrespectful to the teacher, I'm not going to base her disrespect offense as that singular event.
Right.
I'm going to stack it
Right.
with what she's already had an offense for. Now that discipline is going to get a little bit harsher because it's the second offense. I don't care that they're two different offenses,
Right.
but Jessica's obviously having some problems in the learning environment.
Right.
And so I campaigned on improving discipline, and that was my plan, is we're going to enact some consistency at all school sites. I have made that very clear to our administrators. And again, it's not fun. Nobody likes to administer
Right.
discipline, but it's for the greater good.
Right.
And so we're hoping that we will see some pretty profound changes on our campuses in the structure environment. So again, kids are in the classroom and kids are learning without distraction
Right.
to the environment.
And obviously, there's, I'm assuming here, when you refer to the matrix, there are different types of offenses that are still going to be
Absolutely.
considered significantly more severe that
Absolutely.
are automatically going to take it. It's not saying no matter what the offense is,
That's right.
you start here and work your way up.
And so that's a good point. We've broken it down by level 1 offenses, level 2 offenses, level 3 offenses. If I walk up and punch you in the face, that's going to be a stricter consequence than if I cheated off your classwork page.
Right.
And so, but again, we want the child to have the punishment. We want them to come back and be successful. Kids are kids. I mentioned that earlier.
Absolutely.
And especially at the varying age levels, we're still learning and growing, these students, with the parents. And so we know mistakes are going to happen. We know poor decisions are going to happen. But we want to make sure that in the schools there is structure and consistency, because that's what's best for the child. I will say this as a side note: we've restructured our alternative school. We have a lady named Alice Schmickus. She's my ESE director. She came from the Department of Education, and she really helped me this past year restructure how we run our alternative program. And so it will be punitive but restorative as well. And so there's going to be a strict dress code there. There's going to be some very strict academic guidelines. But again, we want to make sure that alternative setting for students who just cannot behave in the regular school site, that if they get sent there, they're still receiving a quality education.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, as like you said, the consequences, there has to be some.
It has to be.
Has to. And so it's one of those necessary evils. And I think parents, will definitely
I feel like I need to say this too. I did bring back the corporal punishment option for parents. Right. That is something that has kind of been back and forth over the years of whether it's effective or whether it needs to be in public schools. But I believe if I'm truly going to partner with parents have the right to discipline their child in that manner if they choose to. Right. And so that is an option on the table. The administrator, when they're evaluating things, they very well may reach out to the parent and say, hey, if you want to come take care of this, and we've got guidelines for it, they sign a paper, of course.
Right.
We're not going to let anybody abuse their child.
Right.
But that works on some kids. It worked on me.
Yeah.
And
me.
There's a direct connection there.
Absolutely.
And so I did bring that back, and for parents to be able to use if the school deems it appropriate.
Well, I mean, I love the whole, you're bringing the parents and making them part of the process.
Absolutely. Because again, the goal is to have the child in the classroom.
Right.
So if I can have the dad come up and take care of it in 10 minutes and get the child back in the classroom, that's the goal.
Right. Right. Versus sitting 3 days at home watching TV.
Absolutely.
All right. And then too, obviously what works for those younger kids is going to have to be different for
Absolutely.
As they mature and age. I mean, middle schoolers are a whole different breed. And then you get to high school where they know it all.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then kind of one of the other shifts, I guess, obviously the district has faced some huge, to put it mildly, challenges financially.
Yeah.
Between losing students because of all the PEP scholarships and options out there for parents to have, school choice
Yeah.
is the banner it's
That's
under.
right.
But unfortunately, that school choice means there's been a drop in enrollment, which means loss of funding. So, of course, you already had made some hard decisions early in the year to provide that balanced budget with that loss. But along with that, you've had to make some policy changes regarding certain things in the school. One of those being when you have a non enrolled student wanting to come take a class or a course. So tell us a little bit about that change.
Okay. So since July of 2023, the PEP scholarship, personalized education plan, has been available to parents in Florida under the banner of school choice, like Jessica mentioned. And Jessica, I want to start out by saying I'm an advocate for school choice. I do believe there are circumstances where parents need to have the availability to choose the path that's best for their child. But what we are seeing is a major number of parents taking these scholarships, and maybe they're not providing the best education for their child that maybe other options could. And so it has put a major hurt on public schools in Florida because they're still in the early stages of PEP. And so there's tweaks that have to be worked out on the accountability piece of it, on the tracking piece of it. And so we're again in this infancy place with school choice in Florida. But on saying that, we have lost right now our enrollment's about 4,600 and some change. And so that's a change from 6-7 years ago when we were looking at 5,200 students. And so every student roughly equates to about $9,000 in what they call FTE. And so every time a child leaves, you're looking at a reduction in revenue for the school system about that amount, because PEP provides close to that amount for every child. And so especially the last 3 years, we have seen it take a major toll. And so we have made hard decisions to balance the budget, which means we've reduced staff by about 40 plus positions. But one of the things that we are doing this year that may be unpopular, but it makes sense and it's the right thing. If a student receives the PEP scholarship and they want to come to Baker County High School or Baker County Middle School and take an art class or a band class or an agricultural class or a weightlifting class, we actually bill the parent for the whatever the prorated FTE amount is for the semester. And so we've calculated it out. All the counties around us are doing the same thing. And we're a PEP provider, so parents are able to transfer funds from one account to the next. But what that does is when the child comes to us for that band class, that child is getting a brick and mortar school setting. And so there's all of these costs associated. I'd love to let kids just come in, but I've got teacher salaries, and somebody has to take the trash out, and somebody's got to mop the floor, and somebody's got to keep the lights on in the air. And so when you have 10, 15, 20 of those, that money adds up. And so again, we're not taking it out of the parent's pocket because they get the scholarship to fund it, but students will be charged this upcoming school year for those a la carte classes, so to speak. And now the state of Florida doesn't allow you to do that for extracurriculars. So students who are on PEP or homeschooled, they are still entitled to participate in our extracurricular activities. They don't get a charge for that. But if you're going to take a class, then we do have the jurisdiction to charge for that. And again, I'm not taking it out of anybody's pocket. It comes out of the scholarship amount.
Well, so, I mean, from my perspective, outside of the system, it's kind of a what's fair is fair. Like you said, there's a lot of expenses that go with having that availability from your side of things. And so if there's money there, and like you said, it just transfers directly from the scholarship funds. And it gives that parent also that opportunity to provide something that they can't provide at home. So, I mean, it continues to provide that well-rounded
opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing, if you think about it this way, every kid, even if they're in public school, they're paying for that opportunity because they get money allocated to them. So each child gets that FTE allocated to them. And so, people say, "Well, you're not charging them." Well, they're paying for that course because there's money attached to the public school kids as well.
Right.
And so it's equitable across the board that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I mean it's changes, it's necessary changes.
It is.
Especially just in the landscape of what public education is
That's right.
becoming. I mean, it's constantly evolving, and I do not envy your position.
Well, like I'll go back and say, I'm not against school choice because it makes us be as competitive as we possibly can to make sure that everything that's going on in those classrooms is the best choice for students in Baker County. And I got to tell you, our staff this past year, we made so many systemic changes, and our teachers and the ones in the trenches, they rose to the occasion.
Mhm.
School grades are improving. And when school grades improve, that means we've done our absolute best by the child. And so we're juggling the changing landscape in public education.
Right.
And it seems like it changes every day.
Oh yeah.
But we're on the journey to do what's right by kids and provide the best we can.
Well, I mean, so far so good.
Well,
I think it's like I said, we've got what are we down to, like 4 days before school starts? So I know you've got a lot more to work on and do, so we won't hold you up anymore. But if there's any questions you guys have, obviously feel free to reach out to Superintendent Milton at any time. If there's any clarifications or anything like that, obviously they're free to email or call you at the district office. And we'll probably sit down and do this again in a few more months and cover how those changes have gone and what's next.
Yep.
So
thank you, Jessica.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.